Hello, my friends. I wanted to talk a little bit more in depth about thinking. I think one of the things that I've noticed in some of my videos, I touch on thinking and some of the issues that come up in it, but I really never got into it in any real depth. And because I believe that it's a number one problem in terms of people's view about themselves and people's view about their spiritual growth or lack thereof, and most importantly, it has a great deal to do with this whole story thing that you build up, and it turns into a situation where your life is a story, but it's a story made up of a bundle of thoughts. And this is not only useless, it's completely unnecessary. And here's the number one thing: we believe that we have control over our thoughts, that we are responsible for them in some way. And it's not true. The reality is, thoughts just come into your mind, and your only responsibility there is taking them too seriously. You know, if you hang on to them or grasp them or try to apply them to your life or your past or your future, you know, that's kind of on you. But the reality of it is, they're going to come anyway. And the proof of that is, I mean, if you don't care for some of the thoughts that you have, try thinking of only positive thoughts and see how long you can do that for. You know, so the bottom line is, you can't control that. But what you can do is you can decide if this is a valuable thing for me. I mean, there's times when you're working on a project, you really need to think about it, and you really need to apply your brain and apply your thoughts and apply your knowledge and some of your experience. But most of the time, what you're doing is living in this very moment right now. And what do these thoughts that you've accumulated and stored, and these belief systems that you've built, and the story about yourself have to do with this very moment right now? It has nothing to do with it. So this is why I wanted to talk about this, because there's a lot of things that happen now. If you start not taking all your thoughts so seriously, a lot of things will change for you, and they'll change for you very quickly. And number one, you'll sort of notice this sort of calm that comes over you, because wait a minute, if I'm not responsible for these thoughts and I don't need to hang on to them, do I really need to be stressed about all this stuff? Do I really need to run this stuff through and take this thought to the end and then take this one over here? I mean, it's a lot of time, and it's especially a lot of energy. I'm going to pause here for a quick second. Okay, I had to cough and didn't want to cough on camera. So anyway, um, so the thoughts that come in, if you when you stop taking them so seriously, and you stop thinking that they're so relevant to you in your life, and stop applying them to this meaning that you have, and that's another thing that thoughts do. They create this idea of meaning. Everything has a meaning. This has a meaning. That has a meaning. You know, life is just full out, full on, unbound. It doesn't have a meaning. It doesn't have a specific meaning, and it certainly doesn't have a meaning for you personally as an individual. Because if you think about it, and here we are using our brains again for something that is unknowable in the mind, you are an accumulation, or what you think you are, you know, as your personality, is an accumulation of your thoughts. It's an accumulation of your upbringing and your conditioning. And this is sort of your character in the world. You are not in this body, okay? But you have a character, and you have a viewpoint. And everybody has a viewpoint, but we're all the same thing. We're all that same energy, but looking at it from different viewpoints. And instead of taking the idea that we are we are one, we are one with everything, and we are life itself, we start taking the view, based on these thoughts and these patterns and these conditionings, that we are a bunch of individuals with other things going on, outside of us. And that is, of course, separation. And there's no wonder why everybody feels disconnected and disconnected from each other and disconnected from life, because they don't see themselves as life as it is right now, this very moment. So this so-called accumulation of thoughts and ideas of who you are is really just an illusion. They're not real. I mean, are you the same person that you were when you were 13 years old? No. You're not even the same person you were, 48 hours ago. Your cells are constantly regenerating. You've changed what you believe in 18 million times. And and here's the other thing about thoughts. There's only so far that a person can go with their thinking mind. You know, and I hate to say this because it's probably going to disturb a lot of people. Knowledge is overrated. The more you think you know, it's overrated because there's only so much you can accumulate. There's only so much you can know. And even if, every individual in the world knew different things, and we don't, we all know a lot of the same common things, but people have specialties, so they learn more about this and learn more about that. But even the top echelon of science and knowledge is constantly changing. So it's like when you feel like I'm going to grow spiritually if I just know a little bit more, and if I watch another video or I see one more thing, it'll click and I'll understand. Well, you won't understand the truth of who you really are from accumulating more knowledge or watching more videos or reading more books. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing that. Matter of fact, after a while, it becomes sort of a form of your own entertainment. I enjoy talking about these topics, so of course I watch videos on these topics. Probably the same with you. But let's recognize that that's all that really is. It's basically entertainment. It's basically something that you enjoy doing. And this brings me to another point, which is when you look at the facets of your life, and if you really look at the big picture and you recognize that you take the mind and the thoughts and the sort of preconceived notion of who you think you are, and you start focusing on what is happening right now, what is appearing right now. You hear birds, you hear sound, you see things, you have a point of view. You can experience things, but only in the now. You can't experience something that happened before. You can run it through your mind, but you can't experience again. You can't experience something that hasn't happened yet. So it's all the experience and the events that are going on right now that really matter. And the old self that you bring to this moment doesn't really matter. And why doesn't it matter? It doesn't matter because it's an illusion. It's an accumulation of 90% you believing false thoughts that came into your mind. You have false beliefs, that many of which are now outdated. This whole conditioning that you were brought up in. Now, this creates a character that you walk around the earth in this character, and that's fine. But taking the character seriously, taking the thoughts seriously, taking your beliefs seriously, and taking your personal individuality seriously is what's causing all the suffering. Okay? So the bottom line here, since we're talking about thoughts, if you can go forward and experience life as it is right now, your thoughts can take you back into the past, useless. Your thoughts can take you into the future, useless. What's going on right now in your life? You are life. You are the big picture. So that's the focus. And the more you're able to focus on that and see what's happening right now and stop planning your reaction to things, but respond to things as they come up. I mean, life is a mystery, and you're not going to know what's going to happen. And that's the beauty of it. It is a mystery. You can't understand it with your mind, but that's the beauty of it too. So I guess the bottom line is the more you start thinking this way, and stop paying so much attention to thoughts. And this is really the point of this, if you sat through the whole 10 minutes or whatever. And you're going to notice on the very first day that you start doing this or stop doing this, thoughts, even on a busy day where they're coming fast and furious, they lie in the background. And they're no longer in the foreground. And you're not wasting time grabbing onto them. They come and they go, and you'll notice this sort of sense of release and just peace. And you recognize that, wow, I've really been stressed. And what's been stressing you? Not the world and not everything that's going on. It's this. It's the stuff going on in the mind. So put it in the background if you can. Try it, see how it works for you. I can tell you, when you have room to really experience what the now is right now, because you're not busy sorting out thoughts, creating stories, and you know, building this sort of self. There's a lot more going on, a lot more to see, and you're open to the possibility of understanding life fully as it really is. Thanks for watching, you guys. I appreciate it. If you have any comments, leave them below.